And I'm looking at this Texas-Baylor game and trying to figure out Baylor's game plan. And several people have texted us and say it's going to be a trap game. And look, it's Waco at night.
Oh, yeah.
I get it.
Trick plays, too. I think Dave Rand's going to have some trick plays ready.
I'm just watching this Baylor team and thinking they're not explosive. They're very average. And then you think, well, Dave Aranda's got a great defense. You realize through 3 games in the Big 12 right now, they're 11th in total defense out of 14 teams. They've allowed 5.5 yards per play to the likes of Texas State, Utah, who's playing with a backup quarterback, and Long Island. I mean, Longhorns are third. Longhorns are allowing about 4.5 yards per play. Baylor is about a yard more per play, total yards and yards per play, and the Longhorns have played a much tougher schedule. Right? The Longhorns have played 3 teams who went to bowl games last year in Rice, Wyoming, and Alabama. And Baylor has played 3 home games against, Utah's the only quality opponent they've played. I don't want to diminish Texas State because they seem like they're much improved, but that's still a Texas State team, and they're allowing 5.5 yards per play. So this doesn't seem like a close matchup. But again, it's a Big 12 conference game on the road at night. Maybe a trap game. I just don't think see them matching up with Texas very well.
They don't match up with Texas very well, but I will say, coming off the Wyoming game, backup quarterback for Wyoming, and a lot of people didn't expect Wyoming to play with Texas for 3 quarters, and then Texas blew them out in the 4th quarter, but nobody really expected that to be a tie game.
I guess I would pick,
after 3 quarters of football.
Both teams for 3 weeks, I would pick Wyoming to beat Baylor.
Oh, I know. I don't disagree with you, but I'm just saying that's why I think the line is where it is. And Baylor, Dave Aranda can save his season to an extent by beating Texas, right? And I think they're gonna go all in to beat Texas. You're gonna get kind of an all in approach. Is that gonna work? I don't think it's gonna work. No, I think Texas is gonna beat them. And I think Texas should cover the number too, by the way, which is 14.5 or whatever it is. But I think given the pass protection issues Texas had with Baylor last season, different team, but schematically, I told you guys, Dave Aranda told you guys months ago, Dave Aranda provided the blueprint to everybody how you pressure Texas, and everybody's followed the blueprint and added their own little wrinkles to it. But that Dave Aranda is the one that pretty much set that blueprint when they sacked Texas 5 times last season, and they're going to use some of those same concepts. And I would be shocked if Baylor didn't use some version of the 3 high, 3 down just situationally against Texas just because of it works. And by the way, Rice doesn't major or minor in the 3 hound, but they used it against Texas and got a sack. And, I was shocked that Alabama didn't use it at one time, but I think we can all see that Alabama's having some issues, right? Period. Even Lane Kiffin's hinting that, hell, Kevin Steele ain't even calling the damn defense anymore because Nick Saban might be displeased with what's going on. So I have no idea what Bama did, but Bama was outcoached in that game, and it was a mediocre game plan for Alabama. But we saw Wyoming, that's what they major or minor in, and Texas had some issues getting into sync, at least that passing game, getting in the sync against that 3 high, 3 down. So I think Dave Aranda will throw all of those things because he's a really good defensive mind. I'm saying a good head coach, but he's a great defensive mind, and I think he will throw those things at Texas. Has Texas worked on them? Have they solved those issues? I hope so, and we saw that from week 1 to week 2, and that will be tested versus Baylor. And they should pass that test with flying colors. My
buddy Coach Jeff Meyer texted us to say, guys, I was at the Baylor game this past weekend against LIU. It was Parents' Weekend. He's got a kid going there.
Nice.
He said, Baylor is as bad as ever, and that doesn't include the backup.
No. You can't be as bad as – if you talk about Care Bears, I played against the Care Bears, all right? They are not as bad as we will be looking in the stands and trying to, hook up with ladies by halftime against the Care Bears, man. We were like – the Care Bears were terrible. Like, they were really bad. We would just annihilate them back then. So they can't be as bad as ever because I played against Baylor teams that were really bad.
Who was coaching them then? That was the early 2000s.
It was early 2000s. I don't even remember. They were so bad. It would really be a struggle to stay focused during those games. They were terrible. They really were.
Well, I mean, again, we've said this a lot. The Texas's bar is their bar, and if they play to that bar, Baylor can't play with them. That's my assessment through 3 weeks. Can Texas play down to this team and keep this team around? Yeah. But at the same time, if they play, if they're past that Alabama hangover, which, gosh, even the coach of Wyoming said we expected Texas to be a little flat and maybe a little bit off. He said, it's been my experience that when you win a big game like that this is human nature. Mm-hmm. So if Texas is through that,
he's right, and
Quinn Ewers doesn't turn the football over, there's not a lot of ways I find where Baylor can be in this game. But again, that's maybe overconfidence on my part. It's not up to me to go play the game. I'm just giving you what you've seen on the. These are 3 home games. Baylor hasn't traveled anywhere yet.
That's crazy.
They haven't left Waco, and they're 1-2. They're 11th in defense. They're dreadful on offense. I'm just looking at the numbers. That's what you do, Rod. Just the facts, right? Look at the numbers. Their quarterback play is awful. That's not even overstating it.
No, it's bad. It's really
and if Blake Shapen was playing, okay, because Blake Shapen's their best player, I think. If you go back and watch that Texas State game, even on a bum knee, he was excellent against Texas State. But they don't do much good. I mean, and that's on Dave Aranda, right? I think Dave Aranda is going to put himself, because we told you after they lost to Texas State that if they don't beat Utah, they could be looking at a 1-5 start, and the one win is going to be over Long Island. Because their schedule early here is tough, because after they play Texas and Waco, then they got to go on the road a couple times in Big 12 play with some challenging games, including one to Lubbock. Dave Aranda will be in hot water.
There's no doubt he will be, because it's pretty clear to that administration now and the decision makers that he was winning with Matt Rule's players, and he was building off a Matt Rule culture.
Well, and if you're the coach, you're like, hey, Blake Shapen. It's not like Blake Shapen's all Big 12, and how is this our backup quarterback
in a transfer portal era? Come on, man.
And again, if you go back and watch the Texas State tape, Texas State looks like the more talented football team. Like it wasn't even a fluky game. It was just, you watch the game, who's got the better athletes, who's got the better quarterback, who's got the better players. Texas State was better than them. And Utah, came in and, was on the road coming off their big win over Florida, and they, Baylor controlled the game, but then they gave it up in the fourth quarter. And then even against LIU, Long Island, who's an 0-3 football team, they were not at all dominant over LIU. Concerning for Dave Aranda.
Yeah, you guys think Kevin Steele was the head coach when the Care Bears were over.
I never heard that nickname, the Care Bears.
That's what we used to call them. They were Care Bears stare. That's the only thing they could do to you, because they were so bad. It's like they were terrible.
So you'd be hitting on chicks in the stands?
We'd be hitting on women in the stands by halftime. It was just a thing, and we were like, we pad stats and both in the stands and on the field. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it was going. They were so bad. All right, here are the scores. Baylor, Texas, when they played Texas, we beat them 41-0 in 2002, my senior year. Let's see, we beat them 49-10 my junior year. We beat what was the other score? Let's get my sophomore year, 48-14. Okay, they scored some points. Give it up for them. It was pretty good then. And then 1999, we beat them 62-0. I'm telling you, by halftime we was out of the game, and we were like looking in the stands and hitting on women like, hey, meet us down the buses in the back. Yeah, you
meet us at the bus.
Yeah, because they were so bad. They were so bad. So for y'all saying, this is bad, Baylor's, they've never been this bad. No. They have been way worse than that, man. They were the Care Bears. They're not the Care Bears now.
Well, and look, they could rise up and play a heck of a game here, and we'll see. They just don't look all that talented.
I'll admit, I thought Dave Aranda was going to be a good hire. I mean, he won the Big 12. I assumed it was going to be a good hire. I did not know it would implode and regress this quickly, so it's pretty obvious. He was building off a Matt Rule culture with Matt Rule's players, and yeah.
Well, this is what happened to y'all saying Aranda was a good hire. Look, I thought it was a good hire when he came in from LSU. He's one of the best defensive minds in college football, but it's about talent, and you've got to have really good players, and it doesn't feel like he's done a good job of attacking the portal and recruiting. But again, it's 3 weeks in. But all you can go on is what you've seen for 3 weeks. And for 3 weeks, they've been average to way below average in most all phases of the football game. Our buddy Mike Harge pointed out on the text line, on a text to me, that the backup quarterback for them is a kid named R.J. Martinez, who's from Westwood High School here in Austin, Texas.
Might be time.
I know he's got some legs to him.
Yeah, might be time, man.
He's got some legs to him.
He can't be worse.
And I gave Dave Aranda some slack because he was hired during the COVID year. That was a challenge for any coach trying to build a staff and build a team during COVID. And then he won the Big 12 in year 2.
He won the Big 12, exactly.
And you're like, okay, well, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I think we all were like, okay, I'm impressed.
But you're right. That was with mostly all the star players on that team were Matt Rule recruits, right? Yeah. The Jalen Petries and
Terrell Bernard and
Tyquan Thornton and Arthur Smith, the running back, and Bohannon, the quarterback. And they were all guys that Matt Rule brought in. And I remember Jade Barron, the Longhorn great player, was a Baylor recruit of Matt Rule before Matt Rule left, and that's when he flipped and came to Texas. Steve Sarkisian is thankful for that.
Yes, he is.
He's not playing against Jade Barron this week, and he's got him in his defensive backfield.